This is a clip from the Red Cow Arcade podcast.
YouTube recommended a YouTube channel to me. It's called Hungry Goriya. And
all right,
it is a bunch of game reviews, retro game reviews by this lady. And the games she reviewed, they're all like 2D side-scrolling adventure kind of quest-based games for like the NES and the Sega Master System. And those are not games for me historically. And yet I love listening to her talk about them.
Yeah.
She talks about, like, I'll give you some examples. Rygar, of course, which you can play on the Switch. There's one, is it called Faria? Yep. Dinosaurus for Game Boy Color. Yeah, a lot of Game Boy Color games. Yeah, Phantasy Star 2. I don't know. She makes me want to try some of these, of course, Link's Adventure, Zelda 2, Milon Secret Castle. She had a really good, the video that was recommended to me that got me hooked was 5 worthy Game Boy games with NES roots. So it's like, if you like Balloon Fighter, but you kind of get bored of it because it's kind of too arcadey, there's a Game Boy equivalent called Balloon Kid that's more like a platformer, but it's in the Balloon series. And just like some games a lot of games I never heard of or never gave any attention to because I just never cared.
Yeah, I have to check it. You've talked about it in the Slack channel, and I do like the little icon on her YouTube page, the little meat from Zelda 1.
Yeah, for the goblins or whatever it is.
The
Hungry Virtual Boy Wario Land. A lot of cool, the Sid of Valis for Sega Genesis. I've just a lot of games like. In some ways, it's probably the only way I would ever even cut, because I'm probably not going to play them. So just watching her talk about like, all right, so I get that like Rygar kind of, it sucks for these reasons, but here's the reasons I was able to get into it. And,
yeah,
she sticks with them. That's what I think. Maybe that's what compels me is she'll stick with a game that I would give up on fast.
Yeah. As far as YouTube recommendations, I've been watching, especially when I had COVID, I was just laying down and being tired. Gaming Broductions, and this is a YouTube channel that covers mostly JRPGs, so Frankie's favorites. And I was watching he has like a bunch of retrospectives on like Chrono Cross and the Breath of Fire series. Suikoden, Tales of Symphonia. I've been watching. Yeah, I've been watching all of them. He's definitely it's definitely in the I would say the Sega Lord X style, but for RPGs, where he's kind of like he is like a bro. He's like relaxed and he's like just talking about these games, like very passionate about it, and talks for a long time. So it's great if you have COVID, you can just sit down, you can relax and talk to this relaxed bros telling you about these RPGs that he's personally very into and passionate about. So it's fun. It's fun.
8 great Halloween JRPGs. So I think there's room in my life to watch people talk about JRPGs without playing them. I think there's room for that.
Yeah, so I Hungry Goriya or whatever it's called, and
Hungry Goriya and Gaming Broductions, and they both don't have a ton of. I mean, they have more than we do, but no, that's not true. We have more subs than Hungry Goriya, but
she can be on the podcast.
I tweeted her about Cheeky Boys because she reviewed them, and we had a quick chat. But she was like very responsive, like we are. She's like us, hungry for viewers.
Hungry for
and Gaming Broductions. They don't have a ton either. They got 30,000, and they don't have like thousands of videos, so you could catch up pretty fast.
Yeah, I think these are kindred spirits, and I think you should check them out.
Maybe we should try to get them on the pod.
Yeah,
that'd be fun. Tell us about games that we'll never play.
Well, that's the thing is like I really love JRPGs, but I have no time to play them. So it's great to hear about somebody's experience with them. It is weird. It's comforting and it's weird.
Yeah, and it sounds like Gaming Productions has a chill voice too. Hungry Goriya is a very like, when I first picked up Rygar.
The only real downer on the gameplay side was the shrunken arsenal of sub-weapons. My favorite one to use in the NES games is the boomerang, and they pulled it out in favor of keeping only the holy water and the axe instead.
Game Boy Color. She's really into Game Boy Color too, and that captures my imagination for some reason. Where I'm
no, definitely. I love Game Boy Color. Like it's a vibe. It's definitely a vibe.
Yeah.
You know, like I prefer the Game Boy like Color remix of Link's Awakening, and I prefer it's a certain era because it was like a few years before it was after Game Boy, the regular Game Boy, and before Game Boy Advance. It was a few years of the Game Boy Color, and they just like released a bunch of crazy shit. Yeah. And it was like, and it's like kind of janky too, because it's almost like retrofitting the original Game Boy to like a color palette. And so it does capture your imagination in some way.
It's just functional enough to make some pretty complex games, but you have to be pretty creative about how you create that complexity.
Yes. Yeah. And so you could do some visually interesting games, but you had to be very precise about it. And a lot of people weren't. But like I remember the Dragon Warrior ports to Game Boy Color, which were very interesting. I remember there was like a Turok platformer.
Yeah, that's where Turok came from, right?
Well, there were it was for the N64, but they made a platformer for the Game Boy Color.
Oh, that was after the N64. Okay.
I believe so. And so it was just like, you know, there's a lot of like weird artifacts on there. And I remember they were trying to do a Resident Evil port to the Game Boy Color. And I think there even is like a leaked ROM on the internet somewhere. And it's actually pretty impressive, like doing a PlayStation game.
I'm looking at a video that she put up. It's a YouTube short. It's Felix the Cat, your favorite and mine. We can't listen to it right now, but the video is called NES Music Gone Wrong, Felix the Cat title screen. And she's playing the game on a Sony Trinitron.
Oh, yeah.
Which, like, could you do any better for the Sony Trinitron was what we did tape to tape editing with back in, you know, the early 2000s. When, you know, because we're fucking old.
Subscribe to Red Cow Entertainment on Patreon for full episodes every other week.